Over the trenches drifts a yellowish mist, silent, unstoppable. No one knows what it brings, yet everyone feels it. Something unseen is coming. The men wait. Their eyes are empty, their hands tremble. The sky looks calm, but death is already breathing with them. Short pause. Sound of faint breathing. In a few moments, the world will learn that even air can kill. Before we reveal how the soldiers survived this invisible enemy, like this video, subscribe to the channel. The wind shifts, and what was once a mist becomes poison. Men wait, unaware of what is coming. A faint sound, almost like a whisper, announces what is about to arrive. And when the gas descends, the air, the very thing that gave life, turns into death. That is how the invisible enemy reaches the battlefield. The first breath brings confusion, coughing, shouting, chaos. Eyes burn, throats sear, and instinct becomes the only weapon. Some cover their faces with wet cloths. Others fall before understanding what struck them. War changes forever. Now the enemy lives in the air. The sound of explosions fades beneath heavy breathing. Each soldier fights not against an army, but against the air itself. Improvised masks, trembling hands, eyes filled with tears. Despair mingles with the mud. Time stands still, and the trench becomes the only shelter from the unseen. Fear has a color, a weight, and a smell. Yet amid the chaos, the will to endure is born. Between the coughing and the echoes of bombs, men discover a new instinct: to survive at any cost. The gas begins to fade, but its shadow remains. Those who still breathe lift their heads and see the battlefield anew. The sun pierces the smoke, revealing both life and death. The war has changed, and so have the men. When the wind changed, the field breathed again. Men who had faced the impossible stood once more, covered in mud and silence. The air still burned, but fear gave way to fury. It was time to advance, not for glory, but for vengeance. And through the fading gas, the sound of footsteps reclaimed the earth. Every step forward feels like defiance. The world that almost killed them is now under their boots. Through the smoke, the survivors move. Slow, heavy, relentless. They are not fighting for land anymore, but for the right to breathe. The air is clear again, but no one trusts it. They remove their masks, hesitant, afraid the wind might turn once more. Each breath feels like both victory and memory. The war is still alive inside their lungs. The front lines fall quiet, as if the world itself were holding its breath. Smoke lingers where men once screamed. The sound of metal, mud, and breath replaces the drums of war. Life returns slowly, step by step, inhalation by inhalation. For the first time, the air carries no threat, but the lungs remember. Each soldier inhales with caution, unsure whether peace can be trusted. It is not silence. It is the sound of a world learning to breathe again. The battlefield sleeps under a pale sky. The poison has gone, leaving only ghosts of smoke and memory. Men clean their weapons with shaking hands, though no enemy stands before them. The war, for a moment, forgets to kill. Those who remain count their breaths like blessings. Around them, the wind hums through shattered helmets and broken wire. The air is clean now, but it smells of remembrance. The invisible war continues inside the chest. They have learned to watch the sky before the ground. The enemy may no longer be visible, yet its lesson remains. Every soldier now knows safety is an illusion carried by the wind. The masks hang by their sides, symbols of both survival and loss. The war has left scars deeper than wounds. Each breath is a reminder that life itself can turn against you. The clouds drift away, and with them, the final traces of poison. The world exhales, trembling. The fields that once burned with gas are now silent, waiting for rain to wash them clean. The thunder of cannons fades into wind. The earth breathes again, though unevenly, and the men, survivors of air, turn to death. Listen to a sound they had forgotten: peace. The wind changes again, but now it carries only silence. The trenches fall quiet, and the stench of gas gives way to the scent of wet earth. The weapons rest, but within every man, the war continues. It is the end of a visible enemy, and the beginning of the battles unseen. The role of war has shifted, yet the silence remains. Some return home, others remain, lost within the rhythm of their own breath. The gas was defeated, but it left scars that do not bleed. As the world breathes again, it finally learns the cost of fearing the air. The war has ended, but the silence continues. The sound of bombs has been replaced by the echo of memory. Each breath recalls the gas. Each breeze brings back the trenches. They return home, but none return the same. The world has changed, and the air will never again be innocent. Peace brought silence, but it also brought remembrance. The masks were left behind, but the marks remained. The air is clean now, yet within them, the war still breathes. Man has conquered the gas, but never truly escaped it. Time has passed, but the air still carries echoes of the past. The wind over the hills whispers the names of those who never returned. The masks are gone, but the eyes that wore them have not forgotten what they saw. The war ended on maps, but never inside the men. In homes and streets, the war became memory. Yet the sound of breathing inside the masks still echoes in dreams. With each generation, the wind carries the story forward. Silence itself has become the greatest monument to courage. The years have passed, but the wind still blows across the fields where men once feared to breathe. The masks now rest in museums, their stories preserved in silence. The war taught the world how to breathe again, with respect, with memory, with sorrow. Nothing was forgotten. Everything remains in the sound of the wind. Time heals the scars of the earth, but not those of the soul. Each generation inherits the silence of the one before. The sound of wind, of flags, of slow breathing, all tell the same story. There is no victory in the gas, only remembrance. And in remembrance, the world learns to live.